But are you? You are.
Hello, fellow fantasy sports fans. Welcome to MFSN, the Hub's fantasy football strategy show, every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific. I'm Dr. Dan Ratner, and I'm here as always with Kasey, Vlad to the Bone Scheinvold, and Ross the Boss.
Hey everybody, Ross the Boss here, and a lot of big stuff going on in the NFL, which we'll get to. And I'm excited for week 11, Kasey?
It's week 11.
Week 11.
11.
Well done.
Well done. I always mix it up, but 11's my favorite number, so I remember that.
I'm most excited that Kyrie Murray is back.
Oh my! He didn't lose a step. It was unbelievable.
Listen. I mean, I'm looking down at the survivor pool, and I'm tempted. I'm tempted to take the Texans against Arizona, but
no, I like Arizona this weekend. How about that?
I'm not.
I don't want to do it. I wouldn't do that.
I'm not. Picked Ross's Bengals last week.
I was not telling you to do that either.
Yep. All right. We've got Albert Mariquin here with us. Good afternoon, Albert. It is great to have you with us. Please do let us know if you have questions, comments, if you want us to evaluate a trade, whatever you want, or even if you want to tell us your evaluation of a trade. Guys, let's jump in and talk about headlines last week. As we know, the NFL changes every week, and it changes in huge ways every week. So as a former Browns fan, I will certainly note Deshaun Watson going down for the year. I can't help but laugh because there's so much packed into all of that. But what's your analysis of that, guys?
Well, let's analyze what the trade was. I sent you guys the trade, how they got
maybe
Watson.
The worst trade in history.
I mean, they got what, 3 first-round draft picks?
3 first-rounders, a third, and a fifth.
Yes, but you have to. But you listen. You also
then guaranteed him $240-some million.
Right. Gave him the worst contract possibly in NFL history, and we know this was a huge black mark against the organization.
It's just such a Browns move, and now they released Josh Dobbs because of it. Right, and Josh Dobbs is a freaking hero.
Josh Dobbs is like the talk of the NFL. I mean, this guy doesn't have to practice or know the playbook. He wins anyway.
He doesn't even know the player's name.
In Minnesota, as we discussed, Kasey, on Tuesday, they're like one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now.
And it's unbelievable. They might be getting Jefferson back this weekend.
So my question with the Vikings is Josh Dobbs here to stay for a little while? Do you think he's going to be here next year?
Not in Minnesota, no. But I think he's gonna.
Why not? Why wouldn't they keep him?
It matters. If Minnesota makes the playoffs, Kasey, and wins the first round game, I think he has a job. I really do.
I think he's gonna go to a team that's gonna draft one of these 4 or 5 rookie QBs who are supposed to be so good and be like the insurance policy for them, or the mentor for them, or the starter until they're ready.
If he performs well, I think the Vikings should actually just keep him. Albert Mariquin has a question about quarterbacks right now. Howell or Purdy this week?
Well, who's on the cover this week of our show, right?
That's right. And Brock Montana, as Ross calls him.
Thurston Howell the third. They both have pretty cool nicknames.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, Howell is just on fire. And Purdy had a great week last week also. He was throwing touchdown passes.
Montana. But I'm choosing Howell on that for multiple reasons.
Tell me why.
There's 11 New York Giants that are part of the reason. I like him to score a lot of points against that team.
Kasey, are you crying?
No, I'm not. And I don't disagree with you, but San Francisco at home now healthy against Tampa Bay, who gave up, 5 touchdown passes to CJ Stroud 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago.
But how much of that was CJ Stroud?
Okay, but we're not saying Brock Purdy's a bad quarterback.
No.
Because you also have the opportunity. You also my worry with the Giants is they are so galactically bad that they're down 17-0 at the end of the first quarter, and it's all Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson for the rest of the game.
And that could happen. You gotta look at game script. But the reason I choose Howell is for upside. I think.
Well, I like his legs. The only reason I would choose Howell over Purdy is because of the running upside.
There you have
Howell.
it. Kasey likes a man's legs.
I do.
You heard it here first.
They are nice.
I like Howell. Start Howell. Bench Purdy.
I just think Howell has more upside.
If Purdy is a DFS.
Montana. I keep calling him Purdy. It's Montana, guys. Sorry.
Brock Montana. We'll enforce this, Ross. Don't worry. But I just feel that Howell has much more upside. I agree with you, Case, about a little bit of worry about game script.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Purdy's floor is higher because San Francisco scores 30 points at home every week. Like, it doesn't matter who they're playing, the Cowboys or Seattle. They'll just put 30 points up. I think a lot depends on what position you're in your league right now. If you're, one of the things I always think of when it comes to late season strategy is if you have the playoffs locked up, you're looking for lottery ticket kind of players to add to your roster, right? Or handcuffs to your existing roster. You don't need guys that necessarily are going to give you a high floor because you already have the playoffs locked up. But like me, I'm what 5-5 in one of my leagues. I'm in 6th place. The 6 teams make the playoffs. I need the high floor guy. I need the guaranteed points. And so I would look in that situation probably to Brock Purdy.
Yeah, it's a really good point. You have to analyze where you are in the standings. You got to analyze who your matchup is as well. Okay, Chris. Oh, we've got another comment from Albert Merriquin first. It's for my QB2 and Superflex. Listen, I think you can't go wrong either way.
Much, yeah. I think. Yes.
I think it changes it a little in that you might be looking for the safer floor potentially out of your QB2.
Yeah, and I guess it depends what else you're running out there on your roster. If you're running out some other lottery tickets, you need a base of scoring. And so then you might be looking at somebody more like Brock Montana.
And if you're playing from behind and let's say you have a stack, let's say you have McLaurin on your team, then play Howell. Go for the big.
Go for the gusto. I think both these quarterbacks are going to have over 20 points fantasy wise. So I think either one you'll be fine.
All right. Chris Atwater says, what is the trade value for Dorian Thompson Robinson in Dynasty? Okay.
Oh, Dynasty.
Please note it's in Dynasty.
Okay.
Yeah, that made Ross laugh because he was thinking redraft league. Did the Browns just get lucky as hell in the draft for the first time in forever?
No, I mean, this guy is from UCLA. I saw him play many times in person. I mean, he always had great legs, great arm, great kid. I mean, he really is.
I'm not
a UCLA guy, but I hated when my team had to face this guy. This guy is good. He had a bad game when he started for the Browns. I get it. Rookie, nervous. Everybody has bad games. I think this guy he looked great in preseason. I mean, but everybody looks great in preseason. But long story short, I mean, I think this guy can be a good quarterback in the NFL. I'm happy he's starting.
All right, we got another question coming in from Sports
Dynasty.
Dynasty, yes. Start one. Yeah, Dynasty is. I would just hold on to him for now because you got to see where his value goes.
Yeah.
Start one PPR. Zay Flowers, Noah Brown, Trey McBride, and Chuba Hubbard. Start one.
Okay, so the past 2 weeks, Noah Brown has been like off the charts.
Pretty hard to sit Noah Brown.
I mean, I would just ride the wave. They're playing Arizona.
I would too.
And I think this rookie quarterback likes throwing to this guy, Noah Brown. Because last year, we have it on tape. Greg, can you play it? Kasey Scheinfeld, Vlad to the bone, said horrible things about Noah Brown. And I need him to take that back immediately.
Case, what did you say? I don't remember.
I don't know, but I just let Ross have his moment. Look, I don't think it's as simple as you guys are making it out the choice here. I do worry that because the last 2 weeks his target share has been great, but Nico Collins was not on the field the last 2 weeks and he's back this week. And so Noah Brown is now the slot guy or the number 3 receiver. And I don't know if he's going to get the same volume that he's been getting. Trey McBride last week, 8 catches and 130 plus yards. Kyler Murray seems to have fallen in love with this guy. I don't think it's as simple as that. I would avoid Chuba Hubbard in a PPR because you're going with 3 better receivers. But I'm depending on what else I would consider either Brown or McBride actually.
Well, you got to pick one. You can't take 2. My pick is Brown.
I take McBride.
Wow. Danny McBride, you're taking. Unbelievable. You're taking a tight end over Noah Brown just because of spite. It's unbelievable.
And if Ross has the name right, an actor on top.
I know, Danny McBride.
give
Listen,
people nicknames.
I think that's a good point, though, that, it's not all just because Ross and I chose Noah Brown, it doesn't necessarily even mean we think it's that simple, but I will give you my analysis of it. Zay Flowers, he's got tons of talent, but I just do not trust. I've not seen a Baltimore receiver give any seriously good fantasy value on a regular basis. I just don't trust it. Trey McBride is a tight end. Tight ends, I think he's looking good. I'll give you that. And he could be here to stay. but I don't know that I want to start a tight end when I could be starting a wide receiver who just had 172 yards receiving or something like that.
And the week before that, he had over 100 yards.
Right. Now, here's a point we got to, and Chuba Hubbard, I just don't trust at all.
Chuba's second string. He doesn't play them.
Now, Sports Spotlight does point out Noah Brown has missed practice this week with an injury, though. Now, Case, can you look into that and see how serious is that? Now, another question coming in from Sports Spotlight while we're waiting. Start one. Kittle or McBride?
I'll let Kasey answer it. He's in love with Danny McBride, so go ahead.
Whichever one you can get more value for, you trade them right now.
I mean, especially in a redraft league.
Because their value is pretty similar. And,
love it.
And wouldn't Kittle still has the name value that you might be able to get a significant wide receiver or running back for him. So I would trade
I would trade Kittle and keep McBride right now. Which is not to say that I would start McBride over Kittle. I think if I'm going to trade one of the two, though, Kittle's probably got more value.
You start this week, though. So the Niners are at home against Tampa. The defense is suspect. And McBride is in
Kittle.
Houston.
I'm going Kittle.
Case, I want to hear what Kasey has to say because he loves Danny McBride.
I would have them ranked right next to each other. So
okay.
I don't have a choice. Noah Brown missed practice yesterday and today with a knee injury.
All right. I mean, Friday is when you really start to wonder, right? Yeah. If he's out on Friday, then you got to look at is he really going to play? And if he's out Saturday, then you're in real trouble.
Yep.
Okay. But I would start Kittle in that. I just think he has more upside. He could have a very explosive game, especially
I like Kittle
Tampa
too.
Bay.
I agree.
Okay. AS says start 3: Najee, Godwin, Flowers, Christian Watson, Addison. 0.5 PPR.
Okay, throw out Christian Watson immediately.
Yeah, he just hasn't done anything this year.
I mean, he gets one catch for 30 yards, and that's it.
Is he even healthy?
I don't know. Never healthy.
I
don't mean to be insulting.
Look at the next question, Dan.
He's out. He's doing cardio. That's what he's doing out there. He's barely getting the ball. So what we need 3: Addison for sure. Flowers.
God, to me, Addison is the only one that's just the obvious yes.
Yeah, I would probably go Addison, Flowers, Godwin.
I like Godwin just because they'll be behind in that game against
and Najee is going against that Cleveland Browns defense.
Yeah, and Najee,
one of those classic AFC North
slugs. And like I predicted, Kasey Scheinfeld, Warren has taken the position of running back in Pittsburgh.
You totally predicted it, and you're completely correct.
Okay, now you're correct, sir. Okay,
yes, you are correct, sir. Ha ha. Now, AS then says you could start from a question of starting 4. He's got Amari Cooper as well. I have a question. Do you mix Amari Cooper in with this original question with Deshaun Watson out? Maybe you don't even consider it.
No, I would then add Najee as my 4th. It would be Najee, Godwin, Flowers, and Addison because you can't start Amari Cooper with.
You're right.
BTR or Christian Watson right now. You just can't.
You're right.
I don't like Najee.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, follow up on the Kittle idea for a trade. Would you trade Kittle for Kincaid?
I wouldn't because you're just trading a tight end for a tight end.
I mean, you're not helping yourself. Do you need running back help? Do you need wide receiver help?
Yeah,
because then you're in the same
go
question.
Somewhere else.
Do I start McBride or
finish your roster? I want to see who your quarterback is too. Because if you have some loser quarterback like Smith or something like that, you're not going to win your league. So
especially at this time of year, having 2 tight ends on a redraft league, if there's one tight end slot, or even if you're playing in flex, cash in on it.
Right.
You got to go for it.
Let's say you have a good quarterback who you like, and you might be able to trade that tight end for one of that quarterback's wide receivers, and you can have a stack for the playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah, set yourself up for some big games going into the playoffs. Chris Atwater says Kittle over the last few games has been a monster. Is that what you guys are registering as well?
Oh yeah,
yeah,
great. I mean, when he's healthy, he's effective.
Plus, he has great hair. He has that long, stringy hair we all love, and he has the hot wife. He's unbelievable.
Those Iowa tight ends, man.
But I mean, Chris is right in terms of he has been a true monster over 3 out of the last 5 games. He's put up huge points, and one of them was decent.
But he doesn't have Taylor Swift as his girlfriend, so there you go.
He doesn't. It's true. There's no denying that.
All that for nothing.
All that for nothing. Let's get back to headlines. We got to talk about the Bills. I'm going to do an experiment. We're just going to do an experiment. I'm going to buy T-shirts and support a team, and I'll just put it back here.
No, can you buy a Commanders? Can you buy a Commanders T-shirt? Actually, no. Buy a Giants T-shirt.
Buy a Ravens T-shirt. Ravens. Ravens or Steelers, please.
Okay,
I want them to get
listen, I'm not a Browns fan anymore, but I cannot buy a Ravens t-shirt. That still can't happen because
years ago they left. I mean, come on, wake up.
It's got to be.
I'm not a current Browns fan,
So
but I am a 1980s.
Art Modell's dead.
So is it harder to buy a Ravens jersey or a Steelers jersey?
Ravens by far. Oh,
is it
fine? Okay, fine.
The Steelers at least cared when we moved. The Ravens were glad we moved because they
Art
became
Modell.
The Ravens. The Ravens are my least favorite team.
Okay,
and so that's why they will perpetually always win.
Me too.
Is that true? Your least favorite team?
Yeah, they're very competitive with the Bengals. They're playing tonight.
Yeah,
That's a great game tonight. That's a first Thursday game that I actually care about.
So Russ, who's going to take that game?
I don't want to predict because I'm a Bengals fan, and when I come really confident, I lose.
Oh yes.
I just say it's going to be a high-scoring game, and I think Joe Burrow will do well just because he loves the light on him on these type of situations.
It's going to be a high, low-scoring game. It'll be
It'll be high scoring. Lamar Jackson's going to run the ball. It's going to be a fun game to watch, guys.
It could be, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 12-9.
No, it's not going to be 12. It's not going to be 12-9.
Okay, now let's talk about this. I know we're talking a lot of Browns. What do you think about the Browns' last game? I mean, against the Ravens, it was pretty spectacular.
Loved it.
And Deshaun Watson. I mean, let's be honest. He showed to be pretty tough that he played the second half with both those injuries.
He had a broken bone in his shoulder. How tough is that, Kasey Scheinfeld?
And it seemed to improve his play.
Yep, I think all the massagers helped him.
This won't have a happy ending.
I'm not touching that, and no one's touching him.
This contract won't have a happy ending.
Oh my God! Get me out of here. Okay, Chris Howell said, "Agree with Ross the boss. I usually go to sleep early, but this is a game I want to see." Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the Thursday games in general, but how can you miss the Bengals against the Ravens? It's just
I do like Al Michaels. I do like.
He's not going to threaten to retire.
I mean, the halftime people they have on are horrible. The pre-game's horrible. Everything about the post game is bad on Thursday night, but the only thing I like is Al Michaels, and usually the game is horrible. Herb Street's not that great with Al. I don't know why. I miss Chris Collinsworth. It's bringing back to.
Well, you're a Bengals guy, of course. You miss Chris Collinsworth.
Collinsworth is pretty great, though.
I like Chris.
What's going on with T. Higgins? He's out again.
He's out
right?
again.
He's out. He's hurt.
And when's he coming back? For people who are hanging on to him,
I would say in 10 days. I'll say he'll be ready for next Sunday's game.
Be ready for next Sunday. All right. I think that's probably right. So if you're in a good position in your playoff hunt, just hang on to him.
There you go. Trade Sports Spotlight. Trade Kittle or McBride for T. Higgins.
That's a good one.
That's a great deal. That's a great deal, especially if you're in a position to make the playoffs anyway. Go ahead and make that deal.
Yeah, because Higgins will be ready. He'll be ready in 10 days.
All right, let's talk about the Bills. What is wrong with them? What is happening?
Well, they fired their offensive coordinator, right?
That's because it was not what's wrong with them. It was so much his fault that James Cook fumbled twice and Josh Allen made 3 bad reads on throws.
The NFL always has a fall guy.
Yeah, if it's not the head coach, he'll fire the coordinator so he saves his job. I think what's wrong with the Bills is I just don't think they're a good team. I mean, people have said Super Bowl all the time with them, and they're really not that great of a team. I mean, Allen, all he does is throw picks.
But they were good.
Their defense has holes. They're hurt. And I just feel it's going to be the AFC right now. It's all about Kansas City. I mean, they're the team to beat.
I think the problem is, to me, Allen is too much of a streaky player instead of a consistent player. Like he'll have a 3-game stretch where he looks like he's the NFL MVP, and then he'll have a 2 to 3 game stretch where he looks like he doesn't even know how to grip a football or read a defense.
But in fantasy, he's the top scoring quarterback.
He's top scorer, but you know what? In reality, he's not. He's 5-5, I believe, and he's doing these commercials. I mean, he's out there. The one thing he's not doing is practicing. I mean, he's dating women and they're on these hot dates with all these high-profile women. And the guy's not watching film. The guy's not doing anything except worrying about his love life. So let's get real now, Alan. Let's get to the room and figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on with him. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ball of that game, how do we think about the Denver Broncos? What's happening?
Look, they're a good team. I hate to say it. It's like because of they have 4 losses, right?
They started 1-5. They started 1-5, I believe.
That's how they started 5 now or 4-5.
No, they're 4-5, I think.
But their losses, one was by 1 point, one was by 2 points, another one was by 10, but it was with a last second
and then
touchdown.
They had that one loss by 85
but everybody remembers the Miami game where they lost by 50, and that's what they're being judged by.
Yeah.
Look, Russell Wilson has 18 touchdowns to 3 picks or 4 picks. That's not terrible numbers. It's not.
It's beyond not terrible.
And they're good playing numbers. A few weeks ago, I think Sean Payton finally realized, if I play through Javonte Williams, we'll be a better offense, and it takes Russ away from those. I'm going to scramble around and try to chuck it deep and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think what happened, if I look at the arc of Russell Wilson's career, I think one of the things that happened is he didn't have to do that much early in Seattle. He was a game manager, and that let him shine in all kinds of ways.
It was a couple. Yeah, they had the Legion of Boom on the backside, and Marshawn Lynch to hand it to.
Right, and so the pressure was off of him, and it allowed him to create. Then I think he kind of bought into his own Kool-Aid. He drank his own Kool-Aid.
I have a question.
It allowed his play action offense to be everything, because you were pretending to hand it off to Marshawn Lynch, so everybody bit.
But the height of it all was obviously in the Super Bowl, when all you have to do is hand it off to Marshawn Lynch and win the Super Bowl, and instead they drop back to pass.
That's where the offensive coordinator should have gotten fired. If that was,
I mean,
Pete Carroll called that play. He admitted he was wrong. Yep. But listen, I'll tell you one thing. Javonte Williams is the second steal of the fantasy football draft. Do you guys agree? Do you think this guy was a big steal? He went late, and he went middle rounds. He didn't go early, guys. He went in the middle. People didn't know his health. There was a lot of question marks. But now this guy is just a monster. I mean, he really is. I mean, he's getting the ball about 20 times.
So wait, who's number one as the?
Do we really have to tell you? Do really?
Stroud,
thank you, Kasey Scheinfeld. C.J. Stroud is.
I knew who he was saying. I don't know if.
So C.J. Stroud was drafted in probably
at the last
20% of leagues, and it was the last round. Unless I know Atwater, unless it was Dynasty. Okay.
I mean, look, I don't think you can argue that Sam Howell wasn't just as much of a steal. He's the number 3 ranked player in fantasy so far in traditional.
Yep, that's a good one. So we could say he's 3 or 2. That's a good one, Case.
But I'll tell you who was a pretty good steal.
How about Josh Dobbs?
Kamara.
How about Josh Dobbs?
Well,
that's another great one.
Here's the thing. I mean, in most leagues,
but he didn't play every game. There's a difference.
10 or 12 quarterbacks, and
he's the 13th ranked player in fantasy this season.
All right. But listen. Is Dobbs really that big of a steal in a redraft league where you're starting 12 quarterbacks? He's a steal, yes, but are you likely to be starting him? Probably not. Whereas a guy like Alvin Kamara that everyone was down on, and he's putting up big numbers, that's a big steal to me too.
Okay, well, this is all subjective. It's all your opinion. There's no right answer here.
I think that DeAndre Swift was not a steal. I'm just going to say it.
You said it, and it's a trigger. It's a trigger, so... I didn't say anything.
All right, so let's get back to Javonte. Why do you see him as such a steal? What has he been doing for people who haven't?
Ever since they decided in Denver to give him the ball and not throw the ball to Judy, it's been night and day.
What's the deal with Judy? Why is everybody so high?
What's the deal?
What is the deal with Judy?
Well,
I just think he's just not that good. I mean, he certainly hasn't performed that way. Let's get to some comments, then we'll get back to that. Chris Atwater says Joe Namath dated all kinds of high-profile women, and he did just fine.
He did.
Alabama baby.
Jane Fonda. He dated a lot of hot women.
He wanted to kiss Susie Colbert. We all saw that.
Yep. He was drunk.
Yep. I couldn't care less about the Jets. I want to kiss you. I'm sorry. I had to say. All right. Chris Atwater says, I've never liked Russell Wilson, but that is just me. I know that about Chris Atwater. That it's like a DeAndre Swift thing. It's a trigger for him.
I don't like him either. I met him one time in Beverly Hills, and he couldn't be more arrogant. He was with his wife, and I was trying to talk football, and he just didn't want to talk to me.
Blew off Ross the boss.
That's bad karma.
All right, now,
Devin
Achan is a steal as well, and he's coming back. Is he coming back this week? He's a limited participant.
He's supposed to be back this week. I don't know if he'll be back this week. Count, but
well, that's a huge steal. I mean, he was ranked in Yahoo. He's ranked 135th.
No one drafted him.
How about this for the steal of the season? Zach Moss.
Well, he's not playing much anymore.
He was for the first 9 weeks.
It's Jonathan Taylor time. It's
okay,
Zach
but
Moss
still, do you know how many teams are going to make the playoffs because of what Zach Moss did? Even if he's not doing anything anymore, it's still a big steal.
Yeah, you're right.
All right. Other headlines from last week. What else should we highlight, guys, that you noticed? And let's think from a fantasy perspective. I mean, it looked to me like Derrick Henry is fading. Kasey must be smiling somewhere. He's been calling this for a while. Is that real?
I think it's real. I mean, I think Tyjae Spears is getting 50% of the snap share all season, so it's always been kind of, I think, there. I think Derrick Henry is getting the boxes stacked against him because when it was Tannehill was terrible.
Well,
Willis was worse.
He's had the boxes stacked against him for a while. He just can't do
Levis had one good game, and has kind of come back to earth a little bit the last two. We'll see what he does this week.
More than a little bit, I would say.
I think Derrick, look, he's a battering ram. Eventually he was going to break down.
Yep. You just called that it would be this season. Ross and I have said it wasn't, and I still think he has.
And I'm a fan. Like, I'm a Bama guy too. So
I still think he's going to be useful.
I think he'll have like an Emmitt Smith type of end of his career, right? Emmitt Smith was still decent, but he was no longer
elite. You're right.
That's true.
And Stafford's back with the Rams. He has those elite receivers.
Justin Fields is back with the Bears.
You start him. I mean, is that somebody that you start for sure because he has Cooper Kupp and he has Puka. He has all these great guys. Atwell, he has all these great receivers. Is that somebody that when he comes back, is he automatically a start? I don't know.
I think he was drafted as most people's QB2. So I guess it depends who your QB1 is. Like, obviously, if you have one of the big 5 or 6, you're not going to throw him out there.
Well, and this is week 11. So we've got 4 more bye week weeks. And in week 14, I think there's only 4 teams off, I think. But so the bye weeks are easing up. If you've made it through.
But, I mean, I call it Bye-mageddon is week 13.
Week
Did
13.
You see that?
Yeah, who's off?
The week 13 buys are the Ravens, the Bills, the Vikings. So you're talking, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Justin Jefferson if he's back, TJ Hawkinson, the Bears if you're running out there with Justin Fields, like Saquon Barkley. Well, so you could be fighting for a playoff spot, and the final game of the regular season you're without Josh Allen.
From a strategy standpoint, especially if you're up in the standings, look at those bye weeks and just pounce on those players. I mean, if you can get Justin Jefferson when he's on bye because somebody's desperate,
right?
You got to do it.
Or if you have Josh Allen and you're looking to fight for a playoff spot, maybe you look to trade him to a team that doesn't need him in week 13 and get something really good coming back that can help you win this week.
I say don't be afraid to do that. It's okay to weaken your team if you are on the verge of being knocked out. You got to win.
Yeah, redraft strategy is pretty insane.
I mean, another headline, guys, this week, Monday Night Football, I'll be at Kasey's house watching it. We got a rematch of the Super Bowl. We got the Eagles playing Kansas City, and last time they played, it was an offensive display. It was like 30-35 or some crazy number case. But, I mean, this time I don't think it's going to be an offensive show. I think it'll be more defense, and I think the Eagles have more motivated. Is that a word? Are motivated to win that game because it's for them. They thought they were cheated in that Super Bowl, and I don't know. I thought it was
they need some revenge. I mean, I think most people felt it was a little bit of a shame to have a pass interference call determine this.
And Jalen Hurts was the best player on the field in the Super Bowl.
Oh, totally. And I think Hurts had the week off. I think I'm going to say it, and you're going to make fun of me, but I think Hurts is hurt. I don't feel
we know he is.
I don't think he's 100%, and I think this bye week he just got off really helped him.
Yeah, I agree totally.
He's not running the ball, Kasey. I mean, you live in Pennsylvania, you know what's going on.
I don't think any player who's been playing in the NFL for 10 straight weeks right now is 100%. I think they're all hurt in some way. I don't think you can play that game and be 100% at this point.
Speaking of which, Dallas Goedert, and this may not be huge news to everybody, but he's a very startable tight end, and he has a broken arm. He's going to be out, 4 weeks?
Yeah.
This is a big deal to some rosters, and you should pounce.
No, I agree. He was probably a top 10 tight end drafting and top 5 probably, and people had him. People took him early, and now he's gone for 4 weeks.
Now you've got Freiermuth coming back, but that offense just doesn't look so good to me. I'd rather have Goddard.
Kenny Pickett is awful.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and they play Cleveland this week, and even with Cleveland's third string quarterback starting, I still think Cleveland's going to win that game.
The Browns are having some historic. I still won't take them in the survivor pool. Not even in this matchup.
Well, I'm not taking them either.
I would have taken them last week, maybe.
Who am I taking this week? I forgot. I already made my pick. I think it's who was like the most popular pick. That's who I did.
It's probably Washington against the Giants.
No, I didn't do Washington. I did somebody else.
I chose Washington.
Maybe the Dallas Cowboys. I forgot. I'd have to look.
I can't. No, you can't choose the Cowboys. You picked them last week. All right. Chris Atwater says, fire Bill Belichick for creating an awful roster in his role of GM. This is a question that most, football fans who really know the game's history they have to be asking. We were all asking it going into this season even. What do you do? I mean, I think the season is toast.
Well, first of all, they're 2-8, right? They're 2-8. They gave Belichick an extension a few weeks ago.
How crazy is that?
I mean, Kraft, I think, lost his mind. Another guy that gets too much massage, and he just got remarried too. But Belichick, he's 16 wins away from breaking Don Shula's record for the most wins as a coach.
Wow.
And Kasey and I discussed this on Tuesday, and unless he goes to a different team, I don't think he's going to break it.
No, listen, he can break it on the Patriots. It might take him 5 seasons, but
that's what I said.
I mean, he'll be dead. I mean, God forbid, I get it, but I don't think he can last that long.
I mean, it's a tough call, but I think he is a legend. And I
mean, time passed him by. I mean, Mac Jones. No offense to Alabama football, but Mac Jones is not going to win you any Super Bowl.
I think Mac Jones should ask for his release and then go sign with the Browns.
He'll be playing in the Canadian Football League if he asks for his release. No one wants that guy.
All right,
the Browns would take him right now.
No, they wouldn't. No, he's a dirty, horrible player.
All right, Chris Atwater says, "Love Ross the Boss's T-shirt." By the way.
I'll send you one.
Official MFSN the Hub T-shirt. If you want
send
one,
me your address. I have a bunch in my garage. I'll send you one.
Put your address in there or send us an email.
I would say, why don't you email Dan with your address?
Send me your address.
Yes, we can definitely get you one of those, Chris, and I would love. Of
course.
In fact, we should have you on the show sometime. We are going to have, meanwhile, Chris in our Dynasty Baseball League. We're still looking for 2 members. We're going to find it.
Yeah, but we'll have the draft in February, I think. February is a good month to have a baseball draft.
The draft will probably be in March, but I don't know. We could have it in February.
For Super Bowl, it's always good in Super Bowl, but it's up to you guys.
Well, it's true. February is a bit of a dead month.
Ross, did you pick Detroit over Chicago this week?
Yes, that's who I picked. I picked Detroit because they're at home.
Yeah.
I think I
can't pick Detroit, but that would be a great one. Chris says will do. Detroit. So get that shirt ready for him.
Yeah, of course. It's extra. Just let me know what size you were. Okay.
All right. So let's talk about Justin Jefferson coming back. He is it official?
I don't know if it's official.
I don't. No, he's off the injury reserve list. He's practicing. So Saturday we'll get the official word. So we won't know till Saturday.
It does seem though that it's trending in the right direction. So
he was a limited participant in practice today.
But Connor's back. James Connor's back for Arizona. They have Murray back. Connor. They just got Wilson back. I mean, Arizona. I know they're playing Houston this week, but I like Arizona this week. I think they'll score some points. I think Murray
they're dangerous.
Is motivated, and you guys know that Murray went to high school in Houston, so he has a lot of fans coming to the game to watch him play. So he'll be extra motivated.
Yeah, I mean that certainly. If you're looking in a survivor pool, you got to pay attention to what's happening this season. Because
so don't take Houston in the survivor.
Arizona's not the same team they were.
No, absolutely not. They're looking to win. They're not folding anything.
All right, let's talk about players that you're expecting to pick it up that just haven't done that well. We know that happened. Here's a good example. I mean, CeeDee Lamb, maybe 4 weeks ago, there were a lot of people complaining about CeeDee Lamb. There's nobody complaining about CeeDee Lamb anymore.
No, he's been the best receiver in football.
Yeah. So, who do you think is gonna pick it up, pick up the pace?
Kasey, you go first.
Yeah, go ahead. Just pick one.
Pick one. But with a great preamble. Go.
Well, I think the easiest choice, or the one who we would think is on that same team as CeeDee Lamb, and that's Tony Pollard. We know how good he is. He hasn't been real effective other than week 1, but they don't have a tremendously difficult schedule, and they're playing great football right now. So you have to assume that Tony Pollard is going to be one of the ones I would invest in or try to get as a buy low candidate right now.
Ross, what about you?
I love Pollard too. I like Pollard, and I don't know when it's going to happen, but I think he'll flip the switch soon. Another guy that I think is going to flip is Bijan Mustard. I mean, this guy was drafted in the first round. He's not getting the ball at the goal line. People are mad in Atlanta. They all want this guy, Arthur Smith, to be fired. He's a complete buffoon. And I think he's going to be pressured of getting this guy handoffs. I mean, they got to give this guy the football. I mean, I knew he's a rookie, but that doesn't matter when you're running back. I mean, you got the legs for a few years and you're done. So let's get him the ball.
And his numbers look pretty good for not having played that much. I mean, if you set him loose.
I mean, it's just a buffoon. He wants to be fired. I think Arthur Smith. I don't get it.
I guess so. Now, what about Jahmyr Gibbs?
Love him.
I think he's already kind of picked it up.
He has. But if Montgomery's coming back, is that going to stop?
He was back last week,
I think they figured out how to make it a two-headed monster.
Yeah.
It seems that way to me. I look at Gibbs as somebody that I'd be trading for right now if you can get him at any kind of discount, because I think he's going to be an absolute monster.
And I forgot, he went to Alabama. Is that how he pronounced the school? Alabama.
It's Alabama.
So what do you guys think about the chances that like either Jalen Waddle or Devonta Smith?
You said Waddle, you got to do it. I'm sorry.
Okay. You mean because they've been a disappointment?
They've been a disappointment. Yeah.
And let's add Chris Olave to that. By the way, well,
I tell you one thing about Olave: if the backup quarterback is throwing him the ball, he'll get the ball. Carr does not like Olave. Carr does not look for him. That's the worst thing that ever happened to him.
It seems like the chemistry just hasn't been there. Okay, Theo Maniatis. I almost said Maniatitis. Sorry. Thielen or Mike Evans?
Mike Evans.
That's a tough call.
Mike Evans. I don't think it's that tough of a call. I don't trust Bryce Young. I mean,
well, I don't, but Thielen's just been doing it all year.
Yeah, Mike Evans is just like.
I'm going to go Mike Evans also. I'm just saying it's much closer than
because Tampa Bay is going to be in San Francisco, so they're going to be chucking the ball to try to keep up.
They're going to be behind.
And Baker Mayfield has a good connection with him, so I think.
And Thielen has faded some of late.
A little bit, yep.
But I'm just, and I totally agree. It's Mike Evans, but I still think it's pretty interesting how close.
Yeah, you want to talk about, we talked earlier about the best kind of value picks of the draft. Thielen was probably.
Oh, he's up there, Case. Oh, yeah. He's top 10 for sure. Yep.
Chris Atwater, who is a Saints fan, says Olave kicks ass, Carr not so much.
Olave does not kick ass. He hasn't done anything this year. People drafted him in the first 3 rounds, and big disappointment.
But Ross, let me ask you this: if you're in a keeper league,
and he went to Ohio State too, Atwater.
Yep. If you're in a keeper league though, or a dynasty league, how do you feel about Olave?
I mean, the guy's under 25. You feel great. You're smoking cigars. You're going out every night.
I was making sure. The
dynasty's totally different, but we're talking about now. I mean, the people that watch this show, I would say 90% of them aren't in dynasty. They're in pre-draft leagues.
Oh, it's got to be more than 90.
We
should take a poll. I think it's at least 95% or just
in redraft. Yeah.
I don't know. Dynasty is getting a lot more popular. I have a lot of people keeper leagues. You keep 6 instead of like the whole roster. I mean, it's almost the same.
When we hit week 17 and week 18, we'll be talking dynasty at that point.
Yes.
What about? We came in thinking tight end was a very weak position, and we were right. Tight end, not surprisingly, everybody thought that. But what tight ends? What's the tight end story of the year to you?
Well,
Kelsey and Taylor Swift. Who else?
See, to me,
Taylor Swift.
To me, I actually think it's Sam Laporta.
Yeah, Sam Laporta's got to be up there.
Or Taysom Hill.
Or Dalton Schultz now in Houston has been.
Hill's good. I like Schultz. I think there's been some tight ends that had unbelievable weeks, like Hudson in Cincinnati. I'm curious. He'll have a touchdown tonight. I'll mark my words. Hudson for Cincinnati's going to have a touchdown.
Case, mark his words.
Mark my words.
Ross, mark his words.
But I think tight end, it's like Andrews and Kittle. I mean, it's just the top. I mean, guys who are consistent are those guys. But
we'll get back to that in a second. Colby Watson.
Danny McBride, maybe? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's actually been a surprising amount. When I look at it, I think maybe we were actually wrong. tight end was actually not as weak as we thought.
No, it wasn't. Yeah.
Okay, Colby Watson says Zay Flowers or Ty Chandler this week. PPR. What's Madison's status?
Madison's in the concussion protocol still, so the chances of him playing are pretty slim.
Okay, it's like only one player has played when they got a concussion the week before. The rest
it was Brock Montana.
Brock Montana, and 100%. That's good. You got that. Everybody else, when they get a concussion, they don't play. So I don't think Madison's going to play. It's going to be Ty Chandler. He looked good when he was playing last week.
That's true, but he didn't catch any passes, right? Because this is PPR we're talking about,
and he's going to Denver.
Yeah,
he has good hands. He had good hands in college. I watched him play college football. He was good.
I would probably lean Zay Flowers.
I'm going to lean Zay Flowers on this one too.
I love Zay Flowers. I've been ranting and raving about him all year, but he's just not getting the receptions. He's just not getting the ball as much as I thought he would.
Well, I think that's totally true. But given this choice and Ty Chandler being untested and maybe we're not.
Yeah, I guess you're right. See, I love Zay Flowers, so yeah, you're right.
I would go that direction. Okay, Theo Maniatis says sell or keep Pollard. I think you keep him. You'd be selling him at low value.
Unless you have some Cowboy fan in your league that loves Pollard, do it. But if not, you got to keep him and ride the wave. You'll be eating Thanksgiving dinner next Thursday, and you'll be thanking me that you kept him. Trust me.
Okay, but here, this is making it a little more specific. I have a package of Lamar, Pollard, and Mike Evans. What wide receiver one could I get?
Wow.
It depends on the needs.
Are you in the playoffs?
Yeah,
I have a package of Lamar. Who's your backup quarterback, first of all? Why are you getting rid of Lamar?
No, if you have the playoffs locked up, I'm aiming for Justin Jefferson.
Well, but Ross is also making a good point. You got to look out for who's your starting lineup.
If you have CJ Stroud, then yes, I would get rid of Lamar.
I'm not a huge Lamar fan. I know
I'm not either.
I'm not a huge Lamar fan, but if you're going from Lamar to, I don't know.
But he's cute.
If you're on Lamar to like
6 on the year, but he has like 3 monster games, 5 duds.
Listen, I agree, but Mike Evans. If you could trade him for a person that needs a quarterback, you probably can just trade Lamar and Mike Evans.
If you're looking, you could pretty much get most wide receivers.
Yeah, I would look for Justin Jefferson, to be honest, because that guy
or AJ Brown,
or
Tyreek,
AJ Brown, and Chase are on top of my list, but you got to go with the guy that needs the quarterback, because you're not going to win your league unless you have one of these top tier guys.
So Theo says he's the Cowboy fan in his league. Okay, here I have Lamar, Howell on the bench, Pollard, Jacobs, Evans, Debo, and Pittman. No one on the bench. Everyone got injured.
Okay, Pittman means nothing.
Okay, but
Debo's a zero.
You're going to Howell from
Who's your
Lamar.
second running back?
Who is the second one?
Jacobs,
and then nobody.
Jacobs and Pollard.
I think you got to.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're trading your whole team. Pittman.
I think you got to stay with that because you just don't have the running back depth. All right, but
receiver depth.
The package is good enough to get what you're looking at.
Mike Evans is your best receiver. Okay.
Nino Pena says Stroud or y'all's boy Howell. I say Stroud.
Ride the wave.
Yeah, I think it's Stroud. I like Howell, but like I said, I don't.
I like Howell, but Stroud has
Stroud's going up against Arizona. That's going to be a shootout, I think.
Yep, 100% right.
Okay, Blurpy, love that name. Do I trade T-Law? Yes.
Trevor Lawrence, big disappointment. Okay. Another one that I would say is a big disappointment.
I thought T-Law, but T-Law did not
win.
Connor's back. Keaton Mitchell and Christian Watson for Derrick Henry and T.
Higgins.
Nico Collins.
I'm trying to trade Connor since I'm starting Murray and McBride and don't want to start 3 Cardinals, LOL. Well, listen, depends on the situation. I would not be afraid to start 3 Cardinals if listen, don't mess up your whole roster for one game. It depends on their standings, though.
Well, Trevor Lawrence, you're not going to miss.
No.
Christian Watson, you're not going to miss. So essentially, it's Connor and Keaton Mitchell for Derrick Henry and either T. Higgins or Nico Collins.
If you can get Derrick Henry and T, I think you do it.
Or I would.
Wow. Or T. Yes, I agree with you.
I don't know why you wouldn't do that. Connor to Derrick Henry is probably a lateral move, I would say, and you're picking up T for T-Law. I like it. I'd go for it. All right.
Who's his other quarterback? I didn't see.
He didn't say.
Okay.
I guess he didn't say.
Okay, doesn't matter. Okay, I hope you have a good quarterback.
Got to have somebody.
Yeah.
Okay, Nino Pena says, I also feel like I got fleeced a little, but needed a better running back for playoffs. Any thoughts? Diggs and Connor for Gibbs and Pittman.
Gibbs.
I actually don't mind that trade.
I don't mind that trade.
I'd rather have Diggs and Connor. Are you guys saying you'd rather have Pittman and Gibbs?
No, I would rather have Diggs and Connor.
Okay, good.
What I was saying when I said I didn't mind it is I can see why someone would consider it, but I would take.
And I mean, if we truly think that, I think I like Jahmyr Gibbs. Obviously, go Roll Tide, Chris. That's for you. Diggs to Pittman is a big downgrade, but if Buffalo is really the mess that we think they were worried they might be, they could go off the rails the last few weeks.
Let's hope so, guys.
By the way, Blurpy did mention he
has Murray to go with McBride.
Right. Murray, okay.
And he said he can pick up Russ off waivers.
Yeah, I would stick with Kyler Murray. I would still pick up Russ off waivers.
I'd pick Russ off waivers, especially.
You're making a 4-for-2 trade. So
yeah,
you have the room.
I'd also just pick him up because if you're starting Murray and between Murray, Lawrence, and Russ, it's actually very close.
I mean, Lawrence, I wouldn't start every week anymore. He's not like a for sure start.
No, I agree.
Like Burrow or somebody like that.
Or Justin Herbert, who I drafted him over. Oh my God.
What's up, boys?
All right, Dylan Fink says, "What's up, boys? Few start sits, full PPR, and need some trade advice. Start sit first. Ford versus Pittsburgh, Connor versus Houston, or Singletary versus Arizona off his boom week.
Singletary versus Arizona.
Let's see. You think Singletary?
Singletary is going to get it. Pierce is either hurt or he's benched. Singletary had a great game last week.
I mean, he got 30 carries. If he gets,
I like Ford versus Pittsburgh.
Well, no, that game's going to be like 12-9. Yeah, it's going to be barely any scoring that game.
14 players in the box.
But I mean, if the Browns defense does their job, there should be a lot of running in that.
There'll be a lot of running, the over-under is 33. Dan, take the private jet to Vegas, mortgage the house again, and bid it all in the under in the Pittsburgh game.
This will be the 6th mortgage based on Ross football. All right. He says also Mixon, Tennessee, or James Cook this week.
No, Mixon Thursday night.
Mixon Thursday. And Mixon has been a big disappointment. Don't start Mixon. Start Cook.
I think Cook.
Don't start. I'm a Bengal fan. Don't start Mixon. Mixon will get 30 yards.
Chris Atwater has an interesting call about the Browns. George Pickens will have 2 TDs. Mark it.
I'll take that bet.
I think you're close. I think he's going to get
keep smoking that funny cigarettes you roll yourself over there, Atwater, because that's not going to happen.
But if it does, we'll remember. I know you said it. Okay.
Yeah.
Now for the trade
Alabama
talks,
won national championship too. Keep going.
We're going to finish up on this. Dylan Fink says, for the trade talks, struggling to decipher whether it's worth it and if I should lose some depth, so boost my starting lineup. I'll list the trade and my team below. This trade was offered to me. Here it is. Trade Andrews, Mixon, James Cook for Kasey and Jacobs.
Yes.
I think yes.
If you're in the playoffs already, your depth isn't that important.
Give me that.
Let me see his roster real quick. Stroud, Pollard, Mixon. I don't like Mixon at all. Cook.
So we'd have Pollard and Jacobs.
Just
Herbert.
accept now. Because of Kasey. I mean,
I like this roster though. I like Hollywood. I think he's having a good year. I like McBride. You could start him now.
Ayuk might be.
And you have Kasey now to start. Now you can trade. Now you can trade McBride, somebody that needs a tight end.
Yeah, listen, I mean, I would make that deal. Listen, you have so much depth. Make the deal and use that space to make more deals.
Yeah.
Get a good running back. Trade. I hate to say it, but trade Ayuk or trade Ayuk and get a running back.
Wow. I trade. Yeah.
I seem to remember Dylan pulled off a great deal that got him to this place. Because if you look at this team, a 12-team league, that's a hell of a team. All right, then Dylan says, we'll finish up here. If I did this after I was planning to package McBride and Pollard for upgrade at running back, beautiful, good. Very smart. Yep. To pair with Jacobs or package McBride with Hollywood for better flex.
Also good.
That's 100% the way you guys should be thinking about it. 2-for-1 deals.
That's a good example. Yep, good example. That's the Dr. Dan. I'll trade you somebody I just picked up for waivers with another player.
I never offer that because it's insulting.
Dan, Kasey, do you want to say I'm right?
You're always right.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, my God. Kasey, how could you? All right, guys, it's been a pleasure. We'll be here next week. No, we won't be here next week.
No, I was going to ask. I mean, it's Thursday. Are you guys busy at 4:30 Eastern on Thanksgiving? Or, I mean, we could do a show for 15 minutes.
Kasey just itched his eye with his middle finger.
No, that's fine. I thought it'd be fun. Like, you know, I just thought it'd be fun.
Ross, I'll tell you what. Send us a text. Maybe something will come together last minute. We'll see. But we're not here.
Kasey can do it in his little bunker he has.
We're not here as usual next week. We will be here in 2 weeks, and
we'll be here Tuesday. Kasey and I will be Tuesday at 4
Will that be our last show in 2 weeks? Because it'll be playoffs then after that.
No, because we'll probably do one more. There's going to be at least 2 waiver wire shows. Guys, Dylan says, appreciate your takes. And then he says, thanks for all the help. Y'all helped me a lot this season. Glad to hear it, Dylan. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. We're here most Thursdays, just not next week. Thursdays, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific. Thank you, Kasey. Thank you, Ross. It's been a pleasure. And good luck out there, guys.